Welcome to eWeek 5. Monday was Teacher Institute. Today we're going to be working with inequalities and finding the area of a bounded region. This lesson should feel very comfortable and familiar to you. Tomorrow will be a review day. Thursday is a quiz on 3x3 systems and 3 or more inequalities. And Friday we start a new topic on matrices. All right, so we're going to start graphing 3 or more inequalities. First thing I want you to do is recognize with that square that this is a parabola. It's in what they call transformation form because these are on the same side. That means we're going to be going right 2 and up 3 to get to our vertex. So right 2, up 3 is our vertex. This graph is going to be opening up and it's going to have an A value of 1. With an A value of 1, 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. With inequalities, we have to think about how we are going to connect our dots. Is it dashed or solid? This is going to be a solid line because it's equal to. And then with inequalities, we also have to focus on where the shading is. So once you connect your dots, for your shading, this says greater than. Find where it touches the y-axis. Greater means go up, and that lands inside the parabola. Let's graph our next one. This next one is also a parabola because it has this quantity squared. It has a vertex at right 1, up 6. And that negative sign means it's going to be opening down, and we get to follow our pattern. So right 1 and up 6, and we are going to follow our pattern. And to connect our dots, I'm looking, I think I adjusted, 1 second, sorry. Okay, it has an equal to on yours. I think I erased it by accident. Okay, so this is equal. That means we are going to have a solid line as we connect our dots. And then where do we shade? This says less than. So less than, we're going to find where it touches the y-axis right here. And less means I'm going to go down, and that's going to fall inside this parabola. There's one more line to graph because we're doing 3 or more inequalities. This is x is greater than 1. That is a vertical line. It's going to be dashed. And greater is going to be shaded to the right. Now remember, our ultimate goal is to find out where all of these inequalities overlap. And that happens to be right in here. It's kind of a smaller space, but I'll highlight it here in yellow. And that is the solution to our system. The next one, it says x is greater than negative 1, greater than or equal to negative 1. That is a vertical line. And greater than is going to be shaded to the right. And next, this one says x is less than 6. Less than 6 is going to have a dashed line at 6, also vertical. And less than means we're going to be shading to the left. And you can start to see the overlap is between those two vertical lines. Sometimes your book is going to write this differently. They're going to write it like this. They're going to say it's less than 6, but greater than or equal to negative 1. This means the same thing. So just recognize that if they have it separated or if they have it bunched together, that is the same type of graph. The next one is a line. This is in y equals mx plus b form. Negative 1 is your y-intercept, and 2 is your slope. So y-intercept at negative 1 and a slope of 2. These lines are going to be connected with a dashed line, these dots. And the inequality said greater than. Greater than means find where it touches the y-axis, and we're going to go up, and that shades this half of the grid. And our overlap is going to be this triangle over here that I will shade in yellow. It's kind of nice to be able to use the iPad for things like this because we have lots of different colors we can use. Now the next part of our lesson is very similar idea. You're going to be graphing, but then they're going to ask you to find the area of these shapes. So this first one, we have two lines, and it's going to be bounded in the first quadrant. This is y equals mx plus b. Notice that it has no y-intercept, and that means our y-intercept is 0. So I have 0, and then I'm going to go up 2 over 3. And when we connect these dots, it says it's going to be with a solid line. And the shading, it says less than. Find where it touches the y-axis. Less than means I'm going to be going down. And we are going to shade below that line. And the next one is a vertical line at 6. This is also going to be a solid line. And less than means I'm going to be shading to the left. Now the key part for this problem is that it also tells you it's in the first quadrant. So we are bounded in that first quadrant, and let's look and see what shape gets formed. So here we have a triangle. And they want us to find the area of this triangle. Do you remember the formula for area? Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Now to find our base, this is a right triangle, so I would just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then our height, because it's a right triangle, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So our base is 6 and our height is 4. Half of 24 gives us an area of 12. Do you remember what this next one is a picture of? That's right, this is a circle. Where is your center located? Your center of your circle is located at -4, 0. And this is always the radius squared, so our r is just 3. And so from here, we're going to connect our dots to create our circle. And look at this inequality. The inequality says less than. If it's less than, that's going to be inside. Think of it as less than the radius, so smaller than the radius. So you're going to be going in. If it's greater than, you'll be shading out. This is a circle. The formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. We know our r is 3. The radius is 3, so 3 squared is 9 pi. On your homework, there is a problem that they're going to either bound it by the x-axis, or maybe they'll say greater than 0 or less than 0. And when you do that, you're only looking at half of the circle. So what you would end up doing is cutting that circle in half. If they divide nicely, you can divide them. If not, you would just leave it as that fraction. So there is a problem that's looking for just half of your circle. Oh, this is from first semester. Do you remember how to graph absolute value? This is in our transformation form. Transformation form to find our vertex is right 4 and up 5. And it's a V-shaped graph, but it's going to be opening down. Now it's not curvy like a parabola, so it's not going to follow the pattern of 1 squared is 1 and 2 squared is 4. They are straight lines. To get straight lines, you're thinking of slope. Well, the slope is always the number in front. And here our slope is 1, so we're going to go down 1 on both sides to get that nice straight line. I'm going to connect them with solid lines. And then this tells me I'm going less than. Less than is below. So I'm going to find where it touches the y-axis and I'm going to go below. And then remember on this, this side, it does continue on. Both sides continue on forever. It then tells us we're greater than or equal to 0. So greater than 0 will be shading above. And keep in mind that when you do this, our goal is to find the area of this bounded region. And this also creates a triangle here. And our goal is to find the area of that triangle. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. For our base, just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then our height, you can go straight up and down. That's what they call the altitude, if you remember that from geometry. And that height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So area is 1/2, base is 10, height is 5. Half of 50 is 25. One more to go here. This is what I was talking about. Sometimes they have the values of x smashed between. So that means we are between these two vertical lines at 0 and 8. This is a 10 by 10 grid if it helps you find where 8 is a little bit easier. And we are shaded between. For your y, we're between 0 and 4. Those are your horizontal lines. And then they have one more here, and this is the equation of a line. This is y equals mx plus b. So we're going to start at 4, and our slope is -1/2. So down 1 over 2. And when we connect those dots, it tells us that it is less than or equal to. So less than means find where it touches the y-axis and go below. And you're going to see that that bounded region where you see all of your shading creates a triangle. So I'll highlight that here. So we have our triangle. This is a right triangle. So for that, we have area is 1/2 base times height. And your base, you can count it, or you might just use your, between those purple lines is 8 spaces for your base. And your height between those two blue lines, your height right in here is the space between 0 and 4, which is 4 units. Half of 32 is 16. On your homework, there is one problem, that the shape that gets created is a trapezoid. Do you guys remember the formula for trapezoid? For a trapezoid, think of wanting to average the two bases. And you add the two bases up, and to average them, you're going to cut in half. And then you're just going to be multiplying by your height. And that is the area of a trapezoid. I do have it written in the answer key if you do forget the formula, but it's going to be average of the bases times your height. Looking at your homework, honestly, these should be fairly easy for you and kind of fast, even though it looks like a lot. There are 6 problems for your inequalities, and I gave you graphs. There is also this worksheet for your bounded region. Many of them are very, very similar to what we just did, and there's 7 of those. So there's 13 problems to graph. These are the ones here where you need to find the area, and here you're just finding your overall shaded region. Just please be careful and make sure you do both assignments, or kind of do all of it and keep scrolling. Great job today. Tomorrow is going to be a review day, and then Thursday we'll have a quiz.